Airframe Prepware Landing Gear Systems. Many brake types can be adapted to operate mechanically or hydraulically. Which type is not adaptable to mechanical operation? Expander tube type. The pressure source of power brakes is the main hydraulic system. What safety device is actuated by the compression and extension of a landing gear strut? Ground safety switch. Which statement is true with respect to an aircraft equipped with hydraulically operated multiple disc type brake assemblies? Do not set parking brake when brakes are hot. If an airplane equipped with master cylinders and single disc brakes has excessive brake pedal travel, but the brakes are hard and effective, the probable cause is worn brake linings. When servicing an air/oil shock strut with MIL 5606, the strut should be collapsed and fluid added at the filler opening. Refer to Figure 19. What is the indication of the red landing gear position light under the following conditions? Aircraft on jacks, landing gear in transit, warning horn sounding. Extinguished. Which of the following conditions is most likely to cause the landing gear warning signal to sound? Landing gear not locked down and throttle retarded. If it is determined that spongy brake action is not caused by air in the brake system, what is the next most likely cause? Deteriorated flexible hoses. At what point in the landing operation does normal skid control perform its function? When wheel rotation deceleration indicates an impending skid. The correct inflation pressure for an aircraft tire should be obtained from the Aircraft Service Manual. Why do most aircraft tire manufacturers recommend that the tubes in newly installed tires be first inflated, fully deflated, and then reinflated to the correct pressure? To allow the tube to position itself correctly inside the tire. What action should be taken whenever maintenance is performed that will affect the landing gear system performance? The aircraft should be placed on jacks and a retraction test should be performed. When installing a chevron-type seal in an aircraft hydraulic cylinder, the open side of the seal should face the direction of fluid pressure. In shock struts, chevron seals are used to prevent oil from escaping. An anti-skid system is an electro-hydraulic system. In the air with the anti-skid armed, current cannot flow to the anti-skid control box because the landing gear Squat switch is open. In most modern hydraulically actuated landing gear systems, the order of gear and fairing door operation is controlled by sequence valves. What is the function of a cam incorporated in a nose gear shock strut? Straightens the nose wheel. To prevent a very rapid extension of an oleo shock strut after initial compression resulting from landing impact, various types of valves or orifices are used which restrict the reverse fluid flow. Which repair would require a landing gear retraction test? Gear downlock microswitch. Anti-skid braking systems are generally armed by a switch in the cockpit, the braking action of a Cleveland disc brake is accomplished by compressing a rotating brake disc between two opposite brake linings. How is equal pressure on both sides of the rotating disc assured? By allowing the caliper to float to automatically equalize as pressure is applied to the rotor. In an anti-skid system, wheel skid is detected by an electrical sensor, overinflated aircraft tires may cause damage to the wheel flange. Refer to Figure 20. What will illuminate the amber indicator light? Closing the nose, left and right wheel gear full retract switches. Number 1. An anti-skid system is designed to apply enough force to operate just below the skid point. Number 2. A warning lamp lights in the flight deck when the anti-skid system is turned off or if there is a system failure. Regarding the above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. An amber light in a gear position indicator system typically indicates what condition? At least one gear is in transition. When will a continuous horn provide a warning in the flight deck? When the throttle is retarded and the gear is not down and locked. A close inspection of a fusible plug reveals the core has experienced some deformation. What is the appropriate maintenance procedure? Replace all the fusible plugs. Refer to Figure 20. What is the minimum circumstance that will cause the landing gear warning horn to indicate an unsafe condition? Any gear not down and locked and one throttle retarded. What is the purpose of a compensating port or valve in a brake master cylinder of an independent brake system? Permits the fluid to flow toward or away from the reservoir as temperature changes. A special bolt in a landing gear attachment requires a torque value of 440 inch-pounds. How many foot-pounds are required? 36.6. How long should you wait after a flight before checking tire pressure? At least 2 hours, 3 hours in hot weather. Power boost brake systems are used on aircraft that have high landing speeds, nose gear centering cams are used in many retractable landing gear systems. The primary purpose of the centering device is to center the nose wheel before it enters the wheel well. The purpose of a sequence valve in a hydraulic retractable landing gear system is to ensure operation of the landing gear and gear doors in the proper order. On an air valve core stem, what indicates high pressure type? An embossed letter H. The fusible plugs installed in some aircraft wheels will melt at a specified elevated temperature. Refer to Figure 19. Which repair should be made if the gear switch was placed in up position and the gear does not retract? Replace electrical wire number 12. The removal, installation, and repair of landing gear tires by the holder of a private pilot certificate on an aircraft owned or operated is considered to be preventative maintenance. The repair for an out-of-tolerance toe-in condition of main landing gear wheels determined not to be the result of bent or twisted components consists of inserting, removing, or changing the location of washers or spacers at the center pivotal point of the scissor torque links. Excessive wear in the center of the tread of an aircraft tire is an indication of overinflation. What landing gear warning devices is or are incorporated on retractable landing gear aircraft? A horn or other oral device and a red warning light. The left brake is dragging excessively on an airplane on which no recent brake service work has been performed. The most probable cause is foreign particles stuck in the master cylinder compensating port. D-booster valves are used in brake systems primarily to reduce the pressure and release the brakes rapidly. Refer to Figure 10. The trunnion nut on an aircraft landing gear requires a torque of 320 inch-pounds. To reach the nut, a 2-inch straight adapter must be used on an 18-inch torque wrench. How many foot-pounds will be indicated on the torque wrench when the required torque of the nut is reached? 24. Instructions concerning the type of fluid and amount of air pressure to be put in a shock strut are found in the aircraft manufacturer's service manual. Lockout D-boosters are primarily pressure-reducing valves that Allow full debooster piston travel without fluid from the high-pressure side entering the low-pressure chamber. When an air/oil type of landing gear shock strut is used, the initial shock of landing is cushioned by the fluid being forced through a metered opening, a stripe or mark applied to a wheel rim and extended onto the sidewall of a tube-type tire is a slippage mark. If an aircraft shock strut, air/oil type, bottoms upon initial landing contact but functions correctly during taxi, the most probable cause is low fluid. What is the purpose of the torque links attached to the cylinder and piston of a landing gear oleostrut? Maintain correct wheel alignment. What action, if any, should be taken when there is a difference of more than 5 pounds of air pressure in the tires mounted as duals? Correct the discrepancy and enter in the aircraft records. In a brake anti-skid system, when an approaching skid is sensed, an electrical signal is sent to the skid control valve which relieves the hydraulic pressure on the brake. Aircraft brakes requiring a large volume of fluid to operate the brakes generally use power brake control valves. If a brake debooster is used in a hydraulic brake system, its position in the system will be between the brake control valve and the brake actuating cylinder. Number 1. When an airplane is slowed below approximately 20 miles per hour, the anti-skid system automatically deactivates to give the pilot full control of the brakes for maneuvering and parking. Number 2. An anti-skid system consists basically of 3 components: wheel speed sensors, control box, and control valves. Regarding the above statements, both number 1 and number 2 are true. What is one effect a restricted compensator port of a master cylinder will have on a brake system? The restriction will cause slow release of the brakes. An anti-skid system is designed to sense the deceleration rate of every main landing gear wheel and release, then reapply pressure at a slightly lower value when a skid is detected. In brake service work, the term bleeding brakes is the process of withdrawing fluid from the system for the purpose of removing air that has entered the system. An electrical motor used to raise and lower a landing gear would most likely be a split-field series wound motor. When servicing an empty shock strut with fluid, the strut should be completely compressed and extended several times to ensure proper packing ring seating and removal of air bubbles. Debooster cylinders are used in brake systems primarily to reduce the pressure to the brakes and increase the volume of fluid flow. A pilot reports that the brake pedals have excessive travel. A probable cause is Lack of fluid in the brake system. Excessive wear in the shoulder area of an aircraft tire is an indication of underinflation. What is the minimum amount of time to wait for tires to cool before checking tire pressure? 3 hours. If a shock strut bottoms after it has been properly serviced, the strut should be removed, disassembled, and inspected. Internal leakage in a brake master cylinder unit can cause the pedal to slowly creep down while pedal pressure is applied. When working with high-pressure, high-performance tires, why is it recommended to deflate the tires when removing wheels from the axle? To ensure safety in case of a defective wheel or broken tie bolts. An automatic damping action occurs at the steering damper if for any reason the flow of high-pressure fluid is removed from the inlet of the steering damper. On most aircraft, the oil level of an air and oil shock strut is checked by releasing the air and seeing that the oil is to the level of the filler plug. A pilot reports the right brake on an aircraft is spongy when the brake pedal is depressed in a normal manner. The probable cause is air in the brake hydraulic system. The best safeguards against heat buildup in aircraft tires are short ground rolls, slow taxi speeds, minimum braking, and proper tire inflation. When bleeding aircraft brakes, one of the indications that the air has been purged from the system is firm brake pedals. When a landing gear safety switch on a main gear strut closes at liftoff, which system is deactivated? Anti-skid system. A sleeve, spacer, or bumper ring is incorporated in a landing gear oleo shock strut to limit the extension stroke. Exposure to and/or storage near which of the following is considered harmful to aircraft tires? Fuel, oil, ozone, electrical equipment, hydraulic fluid, and solvents. Aside from an external leak in the line, what will cause parking brakes to continually bleed off pressure? An internal leak in the master cylinder. Landing gear warning systems usually provide which of the following indications? Red light for unsafe gear, green light for gear down, no light for gear up. Where is the landing gear safety switch usually located? On the main gear shock strut. On all aircraft equipped with retractable landing gear, some means must be provided to extend the landing gear if the normal operating mechanism fails. The purpose of a relief valve in a brake system is to compensate for thermal expansion. The primary purpose for balancing aircraft wheel assemblies is to prevent heavy spots and reduce vibration. The hydraulic packing seals used in a landing gear shock strut are used only with a specific type of fluid. Which of the following functions does a skid control system perform? Normal skid control, fail-safe protection, locked wheel skid control, touchdown protection. What would be the effect if the piston return spring broke in a brake master cylinder? The brakes would drag. Chines are used on some aircraft nose wheel tires to help deflect water away from the fuselage. A brake debooster valve is installed in systems where the high pressure of the hydraulic system, 3000 psi, is used to operate brakes that are designed to work with lower pressure. What type of valve is used in the brake actuating line to isolate the emergency brake system from the normal power brake control valve system? A shuttle valve. The metering pins in oleo shock struts serve to retard the flow of oil as the struts are compressed. If the extended longitudinal axis of the main landing gear wheel assemblies intersects aft of the aircraft, the wheels can be termed as having toe out. Extension of an oleo shock strut is measured to determine the proper operating position of the strut. A high-speed aircraft tire with a sound cord body and bead may be recapped an indefinite number of times. How is it determined in a master cylinder brake system that all of the air has been purged from the system? By depressing the brake and noting that the brake is firm and not spongy. Aircraft tire pressure should be checked at least once a week or more often. In an anti-skid system, wheel skid is detected by an electrical sensor